What's up, 3HL fans, and welcome inside the Mobility Shop, a proud sponsor of the 3HL Tour. I'm Sam McDade, your host, alongside our 3HL insider, Pat Gregoire, and we have another episode of the 3HL Live, this time specifically talking about the game day experience on the 3HL Tour. Now, if you watched last season, you'll kind of have an idea because the structure hasn't changed that much, but we'll do a refresher anyways. And if you're new to the tour, you're in for a little bit of a treat. Now, we're gonna start running down the structure. So Pat, let's just start off the bat. There's a lot going on in 3 hours at the tour tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. This event is something that if you haven't been there before, you've never seen something like this.
Yeah.
Think of, hockey mashed up with March Madness and the PGA Tour all into one.
And a meet and greet.
Yeah, exactly.
All in one.
All in one. So, I mean, you show up at the arena, you're guaranteed to see 7 games. Those games are 14 minutes long with 2 halves of 7 minutes run time.
Yeah.
So not only is the play on the ice fast and moves quick, the actual day itself moves really quick as well. And everyone that has gone to the event, they sometimes not really too sure what to expect when they leave, though they're never disappointed. You go to a baseball game or a hockey game, maybe even a basketball game, it's roughly around 3 hours, but you just see the one game, whereas here you see 7 intense games with incentive, because these players, when they show up, they're guaranteed nothing. You know what? They play their game. If they win, they move on. If they go and lose their first round, they're gone. So these players have a lot of incentive for that 14 minutes they got to give or go home.
And they pocket a little cash if they win, so that doesn't help with the intensity on the ice as well. Now, we've added 4 expansion teams to our 3HL Tour, as we've talked before in other episodes on 3HL Live, but you might be wondering how this all fits in the format, because we have those 7 games. So like you said, the 4 first round, the 2 semis, and the 1 final. So people might be thinking, how do you fit more teams into an 8-team format? Well, this year, Pat, we talked about this.
Yeah, exactly. So not every team's going to be at every single event. Yeah. With the season expanding, with the schedule expanding, there's going to be still 8 teams at each tournament, so there will be some bye weeks from the other tournaments. Of course, if you go to Guelph, you're going to see the Guelph Brewers. It's not all the time, but most of the time it's the surrounding areas. The closer teams go to that for proximity. Of course, there will be some other tournaments where teams have to travel a little bit further, but for the most part, each team is playing the same amount of tournaments. In the final tournament, the 3HL Champions Cup, though, it will be all 12 teams. Just the top teams will get a bye into the second round. So, but with those added teams, with the expansion and the schedule getting bigger, we felt the need. The 8-team format works so perfect. If it's not fit or
not broken.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Exactly. All right, and that brings us to, kind of before even the games get to it in the structure, before all that, there's the pre-game warm-up. So that's kind of at the head of the structure. And like we said, 8 teams, so there's 4 warm-ups. They play their opponent. Well, they don't play their opponent, but they warm up with their opponent. Yeah,
exactly. So like you said, so 50 minutes of warm-up. And the party really does start at 2 o'clock for the 3HL. You show up there, the teams are getting ready to warm up. Like you said, each team in the first round warms up, splitting the ice against the team that they're going to play in that round. And it's not just an opportunity for the players to start warming up. We see a lot of the times fans, going down to ice level, interacting with some players, getting autographs as well, and it's an opportunity for the new 3HL fans to kind of see some of the familiar faces they might recognize as well on the ice. And of course, there's other things going on in the concourse. We've got vendors from the community. At certain venues, we'll have beer gardens there as well. Perhaps some food trucks, some other opportunities.
You definitely want to get there early. And the 3HL Tour, not only being a community-minded tournament style for the whole family, but it really has a festival vibe to it. And I was saying to Pat earlier, before the episode we even taped it, is that it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Raptors in a way, because there's so much engagement for the fans, there's so much excitement, there's music, there's like you said, other things happening, but it also has that special meet and greet feeling to it. So where other tournaments or other leagues might have a specific meet and greet time and meeting place, maybe not even at the arena, this is kind of cool because you see your player play, and then you might be sitting 2 seats down from him in the stands as he's sizing up their next opponent, and we see all the time fans getting autographs and stuff, so that's really cool as well.
Yeah, exactly, and I think the 3HL event itself is a meet and greet. I mean, like you said, we see players watching, you know, scouting the next game, and they're sitting beside their dad maybe, or, you know, a buddy of theirs, and, you know, kids are coming up getting autographs, and that's one of the biggest takeaways I think a lot of the people really liked, is the actual involvement, the fan engagement, that you know, these guys are taking their time, you know, instead of sitting in the locker room, they're out there watching and also talking to fans and talking to kids, and it's really, really cool to see. And one also was PJ Buys. He had his entire AAA team out there watching as well too, so that was kind of cool to see.
They're cheering him on and coaching him on too a little bit. One of the funny things that Justin has said before is, you know, the guys are all out there sitting in the stands, a little worried about what they're wearing sometimes because they're about half dressed, ready to go for the next game, but it's all in good spirits and all in good fun. But one cool element that is at every single 3HL Tour tournament is the band, and that really brings that festival to it. So it was Chris Barkley last season. We have 17 tournaments coming up in this season. So because Chris Barkley's so, you know, popular now and he's really done well, we'll see him at a couple, but we'll always have a live band. And what did you think about that experience?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I grew up with Chris, so I've seen his career kind of progress as well. He's from the GTA. He's a former Junior A hockey player as well. You know, when we talked about him coming on board and touring with the 3HL, he was all in, and I think the fans loved it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, me being a broadcaster, you know, up in the booth, you could feel the energy, and it kind of brought our energy up as well. Not that we needed it with how great the play was, but, you know, in warm-up, while we're doing our pregame show, he's jamming away, and I've talked to tons of players, some of them who aren't even country fans, because Chris is mainly country, but he plays a lot of classic rock as well too. They said, this is awesome. This is way better than a DJ or someone just putting in an aux cord and letting a playlist play. They love it, and it brings energy to them, and the fans keep coming and saying, who is this guy? He's great.
And that's how I kind of say it has a Raptors feel to it, because of that continuous play of music almost, right? So we play in between games and plays in the warm-ups as well, and fans love it. I brought my dad, speaking of dads, to a couple tournaments last year, and he loved it. He was like, who's playing the Eagles right now? Like, it's a really great, wholesome experience. But let's move on down the line a little bit, because maybe back to the top, so to say, as pregame ceremonies, because Chris does sing the anthem. He crushes it every time. But that's not the only part of pregame. We see something different in every tournament, like at Champions Cup. We saw a couple of T-shirts thrown into the stands, but something cool about the face-off.
Yeah, so the face-off, I mean, obviously, if you go to any other hockey game and there's a, you know, ceremonial face-off, they'll invite, you know, both captains to the team of each team and go for a...
We're a little different.
But yeah, exactly.
So we have
eight captains, so we'll have all 8 captains come to center ice, and you know, dropping the ceremonial puck. It will be, you know, we've had mayors before, we've had other VIPs, a part of the community, some of our charity partners and sponsors as well. They'll come out, so it's great to see. You see so much community involvement, and that's one of the pillars the 3HL was built upon, was that community aspect. You know, giving back to the community, allowing the community to grow as well. And you definitely see that, and it all starts at the start of the event with that puck drop.
Hey, maybe we'll see, I'm teasing a little bit, Fan Fridays, but hey, maybe you'll see a Fan Friday contest for a puck drop one time. Hey, keep it locked here on 3HL Live. But before we wrap things up here, Pat, I have to ask you what your favorite feeling you got from the 3HL tournament, one of them, last season.
You know what? Showing up to the arena, you know, as a broadcaster doing the event, I mean, normally when you're preparing your notes, you just have to worry about 2 teams. When you get there, it's 8 teams. So you got to do your research on your 8 teams, and it, for whatever reason it may be, it doesn't matter how much research you put in, you never know what to expect when you show up to the arena. With that format, it leads so much for upsets, and maybe that top team just wasn't having it that game, and we see an upset. We see, you know, a top seed go down. So many times where I fill out my bracket and think, you know, this is the week this team's going to break out, or this is the week that this team... You look at your bracket after, and it's completely busted. That's my favorite thing. Just, you know one thing, you're going to get there. It's going to be great hockey. The fans are going to love it. Chris Barkley is going to rock it. But after that, with the play on the ice, who knows who's going to win.
Exactly. And sometimes for broadcasters, that can be a scary thing to think about.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's always so much fun. It's a riot. My favorite feeling is coming in, and I kind of feel like a kid playing minor hockey again, coming to like those tournaments that you were waiting for all year. Anyways, that's it for Pat Gregoire and myself for the 3HL Live. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to us. Leave a comment down below and let us know what your favorite feeling was in the tournament or what you're looking most forward to this season. Thanks for watching.